Hello, my name is Dave Perkis from the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis at the Louisville branch. I am presenting today with my colleague Lakeisha Higgins from the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland at the Cincinnati branch. Together, we try to bring economic education and financial literacy materials and programs to the teachers of Kentucky. And today we will be presenting be presenting resources to cover Kentucky's financial literacy standards as part of the Kentucky Career and Technical Education Program for 2020. As most of you know, the new financial literacy standards will be enacted in the fall of 2020 for incoming freshmen. So there's a need for teachers to find materials and lesson plans that teach to the new financial literacy standards that can be located in the academic standards for career studies. Now, Lakeisha and we will present some materials. Lakeisha will emphasize materials for lower and upper elementary school. And she and the Cleveland Fed have a host of wonderful materials that she will present and that are located at the Cleveland Fed's website. And then I will follow up with materials for the secondary level. So Lakeisha, if you could take it away.
Thank you, Dave, for the wonderful introduction. Again, my name is Lakeisha Higgins. I work at the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland. I do educational outreach in the Cincinnati, Ohio area and the Eastern Kentucky area. It brings me great pleasure to highlight some of our elementary resources at the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland, which could be found on our Cleveland Fed website. The first activity I would like to highlight is our game called Escape from the Barter Islands. This game could be played in English and in Spanish, and it could be downloaded in the iTunes or the Google App Stores. This game is also available online at the Cleveland Fed website. The premise behind Escape from Barter Island is to teach students the fundamentals of a barter system and the value of a uniform and acceptable currency. Players must help Robbie, who was stranded on the Barter Island, to purchase a sail for his boat. In order for Robbie to return home, students would trade coconuts, apples, bananas, fish, bread, and more. Students can also compete to see who scores the fastest time. Another great resource that we have at the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland is our personal finance workbook called Great Minds Think. This personal finance workbook helps students think critically about money decisions, such as earning, budgeting, saving, and ways to pay. This book is also available in English and Spanish. Teachers can order classroom sets free, and they can also download a PDF on the Cleveland Fed Learning Center website. Also, there is a teacher guide to help with the lessons. This is a colorful interactive booklet that can help adults start a conversation about money with children. Each page includes a basic lesson on money management followed by an exercise that reinforces the lessons learned. Students can complete activities on their own or with another student. This book was produced by the Bank's Learning Center and Money Museum, and it is filled with engaging exercises to help middle school age children make thoughtful decisions about money. Great Minds Think also have a mobile app version as well, and it's available in English and in Spanish. Also, Great Minds Interactive will allow students to choose a money topic that will go into more detail. Again, students will learn about choices, budgeting, earning, and spending. And there are also activities go along with these topics. In one of the activities, How Do I Choose? This will give the students a scenario on choosing an activity where students will have to choose from options from the questions and fill in the spaces for costs, benefits, and consequences. Another great activity in the Great Minds Think Interactive is students can create a dream board. This activity can be completed in the earning section. Students will learn how to learn about earning money to achieve his or her goal. This is a great activity to help students to visualize and set goals on the things they want. In addition, there is also a glossary activity where students have to match a word with the definition. This is a great activity to expand students' vocabulary. Also, there's an activity called This or That, where students can choose to spend their time or money on one thing. This teaches students you have to give up the opportunity to spend it on another thing. And lastly, in the Great Minds Think Interactive, students will learn how to create a budget. This activity will give the student information to create a budget for Alex based on Alex's income and expenses. Also, students will learn how to make purchases and pay bills. The last program I would like to highlight is the Danny Dollar Academy. The Danny Dollar Academy is a partnership between Ty Jackson, children's book author and founder of Big Head Books, the NKU Center for Economic Education, and the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland. The book is geared towards 3rd and 5th graders. It has been our experience that everyone, regardless of age, learns something new from reading Danny Dollar. To help educators incorporate Danny Dollar into their classroom, we have provided classroom activities that are aligned to state and national education standards. Some of the topics include decision making, entrepreneurship, earnings, savings and banks, budgets, ways to pay, investing, and civic leadership. We offer train the trainer professional development workshops for educators or volunteers who are interested in bringing the programs to their school. The curriculum includes standard aligned classroom activities and pre-post assessments. At the end of the program, students can work on classroom business projects or a vision board. The program is designed to be used in conjunction with Great Minds Think workbook. At the end of the program, Ty autographed each student book. Kids really enjoyed that piece of the program where they were able to get their own personal book autographed by a real author. Also, this gave the students the opportunity to ask questions to Ty about the book that they read throughout the school year. Unfortunately, this year the program will be virtual due to remote learning. Overall, students showed an increase of 16% between their pre and their post assessments. We saw a gain in decision making at 38%. We also saw a gain in economic systems and allocation at 36%. And we even saw gains in entrepreneurship at 45%. This concludes my presentation on elementary resources at the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland. Now I will hand it over back to Dave from the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis.
Thank you, Lakeisha. The Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland has some great resources. I especially like the Danny Dollar Academy for its comprehensive approach to budgeting and decision making. In the next part of this presentation, I'm going to show you how to navigate and utilize the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis's resources to meet academic standards for Kentucky in personal finance and financial literacy. As an example, I'd like to take the standard Decision Making and Money Management, which has everything to do with decision making and how to set a budget. This slide contains some of the more important links to resources at our websites. I strongly recommend that you pause the presentation at this point and jot down the links to each of the sites on this page. The top two sites, Econ Ed at the St. Louis Fed and Econ Lowdown, contain over 400 lesson plans and activities in economics and personal finance. Many of them are written to implement in your classroom, and many of them are written for online instruction. At the bottom, you'll see two of our prized resources, FRED, which is Federal Reserve Economic Data, and Fraser, which contains primary source documents tied to economic history. I'll talk a little bit about FRED and FRED data at the end of the presentation. So let's move on to Econ Ed at the St. Louis Fed and figure out how to find some lesson plans related to the decision-making and money management standard. This is the front page of our website, of our educational website at the St. Louis Fed. You can see some options in terms of searching for events, teacher education opportunities, subscribing to some of our newsletters, or learning about our organization. Down at the bottom, you will see the beginning of a list of over 400 lesson plans and activities, as well as a way to filter those activities by grade level, subject, resource type, etc. Right, so let's first look at the elementary level. I'm not going to focus much on elementary lessons, but I do want to show how you would find elementary lessons in financial literacy. Using the filter area, I have clicked on the elementary school grade level in order to filter only lesson plans at the elementary school level. I have also clicked on the subject menu and clicked on the checkbox for personal finance lessons. And so you can see next to the checkbox that for personal finance lessons, there are 79 such lessons at the elementary school level. If I scroll down and look at some of the lessons that are available, you'll see a lot of reading comprehension lessons where a teacher can read a book to their class and then follow the lesson plan for some activities and handouts. A lot of our elementary lessons follow this format as we strongly believe in integrating our economic lesson plans with other subjects at all grade levels, especially at the elementary level when it comes to the important subject of reading comprehension. You'll see here also that many of the lessons will contain in the title the most appropriate grade levels for that lesson. So we have, for instance, a Chair for My Mother lesson for grades 1 through 3, Alexander, who used to be Rich Last Sunday, lesson for grades K through 2. And under each of those lessons, you will see a PDF file that you can print out and will give you a full set of procedures for that lesson plan in the classroom. If we go back to high school now, I've changed the filter from elementary to high school. I have still kept the personal finance filter applied. And now I'm going to go under concepts, and I can drill down even a little bit more. I'm going to click on budget and money management. You can see at the top right area portion of the filter box. So when I click on that, it will pull up hopefully 33 lessons related to budgeting and money management, all at the high school level. Now, there may be lessons that are also applicable to other levels, for instance, middle school or college. All this says is that we definitely will have 33 lessons that are also applicable at the high school level. And so here are some of the results of our search criteria. We see a lesson at the top called Budget Trade-offs, a penny here and a penny there. I'm going to show you some parts of that lesson in a moment. That is part of a larger curriculum that is called Making Personal Finance Decisions, which I'm going to try to outline right here. And that is a 10-part curriculum that covers topics such as managing credit, savings, investing, decision-making, and of course, budgeting. Down below that, we see an online lesson called Budgeting 101, online course for teachers and students. We will also look at that as a lesson that can be assigned within Econ Lowdown, our online portal. If we click on the PDF file for the budget trade-offs, a penny here and a penny there lesson plan, we will see lesson description, as well as things like grade level, standards and benchmarks, concepts, and the all-important compelling question. And so the compelling question for this lesson is, why must consumers make trade-offs when allocating their income among different spending options? The lesson plan contains all of the procedures that you need to completely execute the lesson within your classroom, including items such as handouts, materials, etc. This is a copy of the main handout for the penny here and a penny there lesson. In this handout, students are asked to create a budget given a limited income. So therefore, students are presented with options in each spending category, categories such as housing, transportation, food, healthcare, and even entertainment, and they have to decide how to allocate their limited income across those categories, being forced to make the obvious trade-offs that we all make in our lives. It's a great lesson because it helps students understand what is most important to them as they potentially trade off a better housing situation for an older vehicle, or they eat a simpler menu of items in exchange for having more entertainment opportunities. All the trade-offs that we have to make every day. So the budget trade-offs lesson plan is an example of a piece of curriculum that you can use in your classroom. Or alternatively, if you have students working from home, you can certainly send them a copy of the handout from the PDF file, as all of the PDF files and materials are available for free to you as teachers. Now, an example of an online course through our online portal, Econ Lowdown, is Budgeting 101 online course for teachers and students. And so if we look at the link just below the title of Budgeting 101, where it says visit the Econ Lowdown teacher portal, we would click on that link and be taken to the following screen. This is the entry screen to Econ Lowdown. You can see that we highlight some of our resources right on the front page. Resources that span all grade levels. So we have an example of an elementary lesson called Ella Saves Today, where Ella has to make decisions about how she spends her money so that she has some left over to save. We have a upper elementary to middle school lesson called The Art of Decision Making. And then we have the lesson that we're looking for called Budgeting 101. If you don't have an Econ Lowdown account, you can register for a free account. This will always be free. This is not bait and switch. We provide these resources as a service to the public. We will never charge you for the resources on our website. So given that I have an account, I'm going to log in and I'm going to head to the resource gallery. In the resource gallery, you can see that we have just a little bit over 400 lessons currently available, or 400 resources currently available. And you can see, just like on our front page, you can sort and filter by a host of categories. So for instance, we could filter by subject area, we could filter by topic, by the grade level, even by the languages. We have a growing number of lessons for Spanish-speaking students. So why don't we filter by high school, grade level, and by personal finance, and see what we come up with in terms of lessons. Okay, so I have already, on this slide, I've hit the grade level and I've applied high school. And then you can see I've pulled down the subject menu and I've checked off personal finance. And now I will go up to that apply button that is to the right of the filters. And I will click on apply and then we'll pull up all of the lessons that fit our search criteria. So we have numerous lessons beyond Budgeting 101, which you can see in the top left area of the resource gallery. So we're going to look at that lesson here in a second, but you can also see lessons on capital markets, lessons on resource use and personal finance, a large group of lessons called cards, cars, and currency, which teaches on various topics such as decision making, planning, and money management. So there are a host of lessons here. There's a set of lessons on managing your paycheck, earning income, and how to budget and save. And so I encourage you, if you have not already done so, register for an account and look through the resources that are available to you online. You can assign any of these resources to your students. There's even a grade book inside, as well as a little surprise that we just released this past week. And I'll talk about that in a second as well. So let's head on over to the Budgeting 101 lesson. And I will click on that lesson to pull up a preview. So the Budgeting 101 lesson involves a college sophomore named Reagan. And Reagan has to create a budget for herself and live within the budget as she works her way through college. The lesson, again, it's self-automated, so it allows students to determine the pace and flow of the lesson plan. The students read the text, they work through Regan's budget as a student, they have some knowledge tests along the way. These are not assessment tests, but they are constructive tests to help the students gain understanding. And then they help Reagan look at her post-college budget. And then at the end, they will test their knowledge by filling out a budget in either Excel or Google Sheets. So it's a comprehensive lesson involving a character that the high school students might be able to relate to as somebody they would like to emulate a few years down the road. Okay. So that gives you a brief glimpse of some of the lessons that are available both on our main education page as well as Econ Lowdown. Now, here's an announcement which I've given away visually already. As of this week, the week of July 20th, 2020, we actually have Econ Lowdown also available in Canvas. And so if you like to use our online learning management system, you can continue to do so. However, if you wish to have all of our lessons imported for students to access within Canvas, please contact me and we can try to get your school district set up so that you can avail yourself of our free resources, all from within the Canvas window. Finally, I would like to briefly share a couple of our tools that allow you as a teacher to pull up data from our websites. So this is called FRED, which stands for Federal Reserve Economic Data, and it has easily searchable graphs on things like GDP, unemployment, inflation, etc. And so what I've done here is I've pulled up the unemployment rate, which is the standard unemployment rate that you hear about in the news. You can see right now we're in July of 2020, and so we are experiencing what hopefully is the beginning of the end of the COVID-19 pandemic. But you see that it's really walloped our economy and caused some massive unemployment to the right of the screen. The Great Recession in 2008, 2009 seemed terrible, and yet unemployment reached 10% through that recession at its maximum. And currently we're up close to 15% and teetering back and forth. So anyway, you can pull up some data, some nice data sets from the St. Louis Fed using FRED, Federal Reserve Economic Data. And finally, we also have GeoFRED. GeoFRED is a mapping data site which takes our FRED data and maps it by country, by state, and even by county. And so in this slide, you'll see most of eastern and central Kentucky broken down by county with unemployment rates listed by each county. It is also color-coded so that counties with higher unemployment rates will be darker green in this example, and then the lighter the county is, the lower the unemployment rate. Now this is from May of 2020, and so you can see the elevated unemployment rates across most counties due to, again, the COVID-19 pandemic and the stay-at-home orders that have been experienced in the region. So that concludes our presentation for today. If you have any questions, certainly feel free to contact me or contact my colleague, Lakeisha Higgins at the Cleveland Fed. Lakeisha and I certainly enjoyed presenting to you today, and we hope you find our materials and programming and resources useful for your classrooms and your students. When we develop our materials, we really have the students in mind, as Lakeisha and I both have experience at the K through 12 level working with and teaching students. And it is our hope that your students will benefit and improve their personal finance skills by utilizing our materials. So thank you for listening to our presentation. And again, feel free to contact us if you have any questions. Thank you.